a lesson on runes. This one's going to be more for my niece, but anybody who wants to watch. Runes were the way of writing in the old days. Elder Futharks, they came first, and they would have these different symbols. Younger Futharks were more for the Viking Age, and they're a little bit different from the Elder. This is where you sometimes see these symbols right here with all the runes, and they spell out words. These symbols were old symbols for Icelandic magic. The old book is called Galdrabok, and Icelandic Book of Magic. It has all kinds of different staves, is what they're called in there. Or you would have something just basic in the center, like a raven. And it actually has a link to our family, the McDougalls, because if you look, House of Ivar right there. Okay, I click on that, and it brings up the raven. One of our ancestors' nicknames was called the War Raven. Runes have many different legends to them. So here's the legend right here. I know I hung on that windy tree, spear wounded 9 full nights, given to Odin, myself to myself, on that tree that rose from roots that no man ever knows. They gave me neither bread nor drink from horn. I peered down below, I clutched the runes screaming, I grabbed them, and then I sank back. Odin sacrificed himself. Some compare it to like Jesus, because he was hanging on a tree. And he speared himself, and Jesus was speared in, I think, his left side. And water poured out, and so it's kind of along the same lines there. But Odin had done it for wisdom, and he gained the wisdom of the runes. And so whether runes were created or it's actually from legend, I'll leave that up to you. The runes are almost the same as in the alphabet. They make different sounds, and then later they had meanings attached to them. You can see right here that each one of them has a different letter. So you got to look at the time period. Younger Futhark was for the Vikings, and that's how they would write. And so if you want to write a word or something, then you would actually take the sound that it makes and know the old language, Old Norse. And so say you wanted to write a word and it was Odin or something like that, then you would actually take each letter, because Odin is a name, Odin, and it would match up to like almost like Japanese. I know you watch a lot of anime, but Japanese wrote names in katakana. It was the easiest, and it's like the teenage form of their writing. You can see each of these make a different sound, and so my name would be Joseph, Joseph, and then they don't have a f sound, so it'd go poo or po, Joseph. You're kind of doing the same thing for Viking language if it was your name and writing runes. I'm gonna go from the Elder Futhark. They have more stuff that I like, but Jera. Okay. Then we got O, Othala. S, Soilo. E, Ewas. P, Perthro. H is Haglas. So that right there would be Joseph. Anything past that point, you're getting into the Old Norse, and Konguruin, meaning king, or Konungur. You would need to transfer those sounds into runes as the old language said it, not the English. But names, it works fine. But if you wanted to find those, then you would need K and go on until Konungur is spelled. But younger Futhark, as I said, was actually Viking. Runic alphabet informed the Elder with only 16 characters in use from the 9th century, the 800 AD, after a transitional period during the 7th and 8th centuries. So that's 6 to 700 AD. That's around the time of the Vikings. The Elder was actually used from year 0 to 700, so it had a transition from Elder to Younger as the Vikings came in. Because, as they say, the Viking age 793 to 1066. But the funny thing is, the more you read about it, it's more of like when they started raiding. Vikings have existed long before then, apparently. So I've tracked them from Norway and Sweden, going down to Denmark, and then to Germany as the main origin. But if you trace the Norse mythology genes, and then you start going up into this type area to where they go down to the Black Sea. And we said to be coming from around this area from our ancestry. So me and Jonathan had the same dad, and so you would get at least half these genes in here. Okay, so going from right here, there's the Black Sea and everything I spotted. And so Norway, Sweden, Denmark, and you see you've got a lot in Germany. And this one's the one I discovered recently, that's Sigurd. And you see the Norway going to Scotland type of thing. Scotland would be up in this area. So most likely the older Germanic Vikings, something, would have had used the elder Futhark. And once they moved to Vikings up into Norway and everything, they would have used the younger Futhark. Though they still did write in a little bit of Elder Futhark up there. But then you would have things like this, and it makes kind of like a pretty artwork. But sometimes these things would tell stories that would be passed down, because if you try and write on something, you want it to last, and the Vikings believed in writing it on rock because it withstands the test of time instead of like wood or anything like that. But that one has rock runestone right here in Sweden's Rock, depicting Ragnarok. You can pause to read right there. They told these stories because they didn't want them repeated again. And if you look up the year 536, that's kind of something like that, and yeah, it gets frightening. It was kind of like biblical type crap. So the Elder Futhark was used in Germany, and that is also why a certain person in World War II, Hitler, like everyone knows that little symbol right there, depicting that. It's also the same as that, Sowilo, the runes. He was trying to get the runes' power in order to use for the Empire himself, or whatever you want to see it as. That goes into where the meanings were given and created and stuff like that. So you can see where they have different meanings right here. And you could just see what that says right there. But if you wanted to go into the archaeology, there's something that I've found. This is the Kovel spearhead, and you can see there's one of them symbols that he used to use, and then it's got different symbols and runes down the side. You can see what it says right there, 1858, farmer plowing, found it near Ukraine, and dates to the early 3rd century, 200 AD. Spearhead measures, and it read Thither Rider, wishing luck to something that is about to travel, placing emphasis on the action of the object. And it describes the spear's trajectory. Okay. Odin's spear, Gungnir, magical spear that always hits its mark and always kills, a swaying one made from Yggdrasil's sacred ash. Written magic runes onto Gungnir. So it always hits its mark, wouldn't that be dealing with trajectory? And it had runes on there. This is a little note that I saved. Tells that Chief Siggy Fridolfsson, who took the name of the god Odin when he led his very bright group into the north from the Kaus Mountains, and it's in Georgia, Black Sea, like I said. And about 100 BC, others say 200 AD. Our family history also says 200 AD, so it's up to you. But that's the history, some of the artifacts, how to write your own name, and if you can find the word for it, you can write the word in runes, and just about everything.